As you guys should know, I've already completed my extensive scientific research on the Mega Man series to figure out what is the hardest boss fight and the hardest stage from every Mega Man Classic game. But the time has come to continue my scientific research, which could only mean it's time to find the easiest Robot Master in every Mega Man game 1 through 11, which we're gonna do today. And we're also gonna do it for Rockman and Forte too, because I like that game. I know you guys don't, but I like that game, so we're doing it. To make this as simple and concise as possible, let's go ahead and establish that in general, I'm going to be referring to the boss fight without their weakness. Of course, I will mention their weakness or if there is an easier Robot Master depending on what weapons you have, but one good reason why I don't want to count their main weakness is Metal Man from Mega Man 2, for example, who dies in one hit from his own weapon. This is something I would definitely mention, but I feel like this video would be a lot more pointless if I just went for picks like that. Also, we're going in chronological order for obvious reasons, which means we're starting with Mega Man 1. Mega Man 1 actually raises some complications for the list because of the notorious select button glitch. If you're unaware what that is, basically in Mega Man 1 you have your normal pause button, but you can also pause the game by pressing select, except the select pause version just freezes the game without bringing up your weapons menu. But for whatever reason, while the game is frozen with the select button pause, the invincibility frames are not frozen, so you're able to pause buffer every time you attack a boss to reset their invincibility frames and basically beat any boss in just a couple of seconds. I would normally make a skit here or something, but I've already made this joke a while back, so here's a clip. If we're going to be considering the select glitch as a viable option, then it's very possible that Electman or Iceman could be the easiest boss just due to how easy it is to set up the glitch and how quickly they end up dying. But I not only think that's dumb, but that also Cutman would still be the obvious easiest boss either way. Fighting Cutman even without the select button glitch is still the easiest boss fight in the game because this stage was literally designed to be defeated first. Cutman is also the only boss that gets knocked back as far as I'm aware, which grants you the ability to just sit there and shoot Cutman while you file your taxes or something. Mega Man 2, more like Mega Man 2 Easy, am I right? Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite games ever created, but one of its flaws that I cannot deny is the fact that it is kind of easy, at least compared to every single other Mega Man game. Of course, like I said earlier, if you get Metal Man's weapon and use it against him, it is a one-hit kill, or a two-hit kill if you don't live in America, but that solution is much too lazy for my prestigious scientific research, so Metal Man is not the easiest Robot Master for Mega Man 2 because I declare it so. Heat Man, surprisingly, is probably the easiest Robot Master for me to personally defeat without getting hit, but to be fair, that's probably only because he has a very predictable pattern, and if it's your first time playing, there's no way in heck that Heat Man will be the easiest for you to defeat. Bubble Man is also a very easy fight, but there are spikes on the ceiling accompanied by underwater physics, which is sketchy at best. Which means Flash Man is probably the easiest Robot Master for Mega Man 2, which is the same answer I probably would have given you if I was 2 years old. I think Flash Man is meant to be taken down first because with the plain old dude, he dies extremely quickly, and if you have full health going into the fight, then it's honestly more of a challenge to die than to defeat Flash Man. So as long as you have one extra life when you get to Flash Man, then you will most definitely win. Unless you live outside of America, of course, then you're on your own. Mega Man 3 adds significant difficulty spikes to Mega Man 2 with the introduction of both sliding and level design / boss patterns that require you to slide with great precision. There aren't really a lot of necessarily easy Robot Masters, but Top Man does stand out from the pack. Not only is his stage pretty straightforward and easy, but his entire fight consists of him sitting there letting you shoot him while he gets ready to move across the screen one time. He's definitely the easiest in the game, but ironically Hard Man is also very easy to beat. Now trust me guys, I really wanted to say Hard Man was the easiest Robot Master in Mega Man 3 just for the meme, but unfortunately Top Man's difficulty is just non-existent, so I can't in good faith. You know what, never mind. Hard Man is the easiest boss for Mega Man 3. XD. XD guys. Get it? Because I'm saying Hard Man is easy. Those are opposite. Mega Man 4 has some of the hardest Robot Masters in the entire franchise, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Mega Man 4's bosses cause the most contact damage from any Mega Man game ever, which is just dandy. Legitimately, if I ever do a top 10 hardest Robot Masters, 3 of the top 5 will probably end up being for Mega Man 4. Don't get me wrong, I love Mega Man 4 regardless of its difficulty, and this is easily one of the more underrated Mega Man games. Mega Man 4's developers tried everything in their power to make this game as hard as possible, only to be one-upped by Rockman 4 minus Infinity. There is luckily one boss in Mega Man 4 that is not only easy to defeat, but actually straight up has an RNG manipulation tactic that lets you win without the boss ever so much as attacking you. Of course, you guys may have heard Toadman is one of the easiest boss fights ever just because he's famous for his rain dance glitch, but if you're actually unaware of how to do it right, then this fight is not easy at all. It's still probably easier than any of the other Mega Man 4 boss fights, but if it wasn't for that RNG manipulation exploit, this poor frog wouldn't get any love. And the easiest fight from Rockman 4 Minus Infinity is the reset button on your NES. Mega Man 5 is probably on the easier side of the Mega Man spectrum, and as a 2-year-old, I think the first Mega Man boss I ever defeated on my own was for Mega Man 5. The boss I beat as a 2-year-old was Gravity Man, and I think it's because during the boss fight he has one of the easier patterns in the game, since he just walks around jumping up and down, only shooting one bullet every 30 minutes. But despite Gravity Man being extremely easy, I don't even think he's the easiest robot master in Mega Man 5. That honor would have to go to the homie Starman. Now, if we were talking about just the stages, which I will do a video on soon, Gravity Man does have the easier stage, which is the only reason I was able to defeat him as a literal toddler. Starman's stage is fairly difficult with spikes and difficult enemies everywhere, but the boss fight is actually really easy. I think Starman has a set path that he follows, and by that I mean I'm pretty sure when Mega Man isn't in the room, Starman is still jumping up and down while equipping and unequipping his shield like he normally does. And this fight is easy not only because Starman is incredibly slow and diseased with some form of atrophy that stops him from really doing anything to attack you, but also because you're in outer space, which allows Mega Man to jump a lot higher with a lot more leeway. This makes Starman's already slow and easy to dodge attacks feel even slower and easier to dodge. I'm not sure how old I was when I first started going to Starman stage first instead of Gravity Man, but I'm pretty sure that whenever I did it, it didn't have anything to do with the difficulty, just the fact that you can get the Q-tip power up from Starman stage. But I was also a 2-year-old, so I can't really tell you for sure what I was thinking with perfect accuracy because I was a 2-year-old. Mega Man 6 is like the Anatoly Karpov of Mega Man games, and since there's no way a single one of you understand that, I basically just mean that Mega Man 6 is an extremely solid and polished entry into the Mega Man series with no obvious flaws or anything wrong with it. The difficulty is also very consistent and balanced, with this feeling like it's on the easier side of the Mega Man spectrum without it being unchallenging. There are actually a couple of bosses you could reasonably try to defeat first without there being any major difference in difficulty. As a 2-year-old, for some reason I always defeated Yamato Man first, but again, that's probably more because the stage than the boss fight. The boss fight is actually pretty easy and probably in the top 3 easiest bosses in this game, but Yamato Man does a good bit of damage, so while you can have a very smooth and clean-cut fight for the first 80% of it, he can very easily catch you slipping and take all of your health in a singular second. When trying to find the undisputed easiest boss of Mega Man 6, Flame Man and Blizzard Man both come to mind. Flame Man has one of the coolest design stages I've ever seen on the NES, but his boss fight can be very brutal if you aren't ready for it. Blizzard Man, on the other hand, I feel has an attacking pattern that's much easier to adapt to and defeat. He just turns into a ball, jumps around everywhere, and then dances in the corner for a few seconds before doing it all over again. Basically, the only real challenge in this fight is suppressing your severe PTSD from Armored Armadillo and Mega Man X while Blizzard Man rolls around in the air. So yeah, Blizzard Man is the easiest, and I know some of the hardcore Mega Man fans might be saying that Wind Man is easier, but that fight is actually hard because I can't concentrate on the battle through my laughter over Wind Man being the only robot master ever with obviously exposed nipples. Well, we've managed to go over every single Mega Man game on the NES almost as fast as Capcom was able to produce those Mega Man games on the NES, and now it's time to go over the weirder Mega Man games, I guess you could call them, but don't worry guys, Mega Man is still Mega Man at the end of the day. Whether you're playing or watching it, it's still Mega Man, so this will be enjoyable guys, we'll have fun. Mega Man 7 is honestly a strange game when compared to the rest of the classic series. The graphics were significantly upgraded for the Super Nintendo, and of course the music is good since it is still Mega Man, but lots of changes were introduced for this game. For example, instead of just being able to choose between all 8 bosses, which is the main appeal of Mega Man, you only get to choose between the first 4 until you beat those guys, which then lets you choose from the last 4. They continued this in Mega Man 8, and I doubt I'm the only one who thought this was weird, but I mean, it is a feature that's only in Mega Man 7 and Mega Man 8, so it's not going to be good. The bosses in this game have some of the widest variety in terms of difficulty though. If you have their weakness, then every single boss is easy, so let's just pretend we're with plain old dude. Slash Man, Shade Man, Turbo Man, and Spring Man are all very difficult, but those are the guys who are on the second half, so you don't even get the opportunity to fight any of them first. Out of the first 4, I'd say that Freeze Man is definitely the coolest design, and as a kid the only one that I thought felt like a real Mega Man boss, but I don't think that he's the easiest. Burst Man can be annoying, but he is a pretty easy fight at the end of the day. okay, and Junkman isn't too bad once you learn his pattern. Cloudman, on the other hand, was clearly made to be the first boss, as his level and boss fights are the easiest in the game by far, and the weapon you get is actually very useful. The only difficulty in this fight comes from the fact that there are holes in the floor, which is a huge OSHA violation, but since Cloudman can fly, I guess we can let him pass. Cloudman also does a rain dance, which summons a giant gust of wind that pushes Mega Man closer to the pit of demise, but as long as you don't put your controller onto the ground and walk away, then you should be okay. Mega Man 8 isn't too great, so let's try to make this quick. Like in Mega Man 7, you're only able to fight the first half of the bosses at first, but unlike in Mega Man 7, one of those candidates for easiest boss goes to a member of the second half of Robot Masters. Of course, I'm referring to Aquaman, who was designed as if he were a clumsy anime protagonist. This fight is weirdly easy, and I don't think I've ever had any trouble with him except for the times when my mind starts racing over the fact that Capcom is still avoiding debuting a Waterman at all costs. If you can traverse your invasive thoughts for long enough though, you should be able to easily defeat this guy. But somehow there's an even easier boss for Mega Man 8, which is Frostman. Frostman does have a fairly difficult stage because it has those long annoying jump jump slide slide segments, but the developers at Capcom clearly knew that you would be low on lives once you finished that area, so they purposefully made Frostman the easiest boss in the game. I mean, he doesn't really do anything, he just belly flops a bunch until you kill him. Rockman and Forte, better known as Mega Man and Bass in the free world, is basically Mega Man 8.5. It uses Mega Man 8's graphics from the PlayStation 1 and somehow manages to crunch them into a Super Nintendo game. Somehow this works, and the game is one of my favorite Mega Man games of all time, but the boss selection screen is very, different. It almost looks like the hub world in Super Mario World or even Mario 3, where you slowly unlock more options as you beat bosses, and when you first start, your only choice is Cold Man. This guy is obviously the easiest boss, as he was meant to be the first one you beat, and his attack patterns is just standing there and shooting a cloud at you every now and then. There's not really much else to say about this, but I am kinda curious why Capcom insists that it's weather-related bosses that are the easiest and first ones you defeat. I mean, we all know weathermen are inconsistent, but come on, that's kinda rude, guys. You can't tell the future, no one can do that. When Mega Man 9 was first announced, it was one of the most hyped times I've ever been for a video game, since for most of my life, the newest classic Mega Man game was unfortunately Mega Man 8. Obviously, Mega Man 9 took us back to the cool 8-bit art style of the original NES games, but what some fans didn't expect was the difficulty from the NES games returning as well. If you would ask me personally, I wouldn't say this game is super difficult, but it is far from easy. Most of the difficulty comes from the stages and not the bosses though, at least in my experience. That doesn't mean the bosses are easy. Concrete Man is one of the biggest pains in the neck I've ever seen, and I've watched the main character of Wolfenstein get decapitated, so that's saying a lot. Luckily, there are a few stages that are generally easy all around, which include Tornado Man stage, Galaxy Man stage, and Splash Woman stage. I've seen people argue that Jewel Man is the easiest boss fight, and he is certainly easy, but he's too tricky for me to agree with that. Splash Woman could be my favorite boss battle in the game, but there is still an undeniable level of difficulty that you have to endure every time. Tornado Man, like I brought up earlier, probably has the hardest stage of those three, but his boss fight isn't too hard at all. The only problem is that there are spikes, so the room for error is nanoscopic. This is why I've always thought that Galaxy Man was the easiest boss for Mega Man 9, because the boss fight itself is one of the simplest in the series. You just jump over him, shoot him, and run away from his giant black hole that he creates every now and then. Maybe it's just because I've spent way too much of my life playing Astro Man stage from Rockman and Forte, which was heavily referenced throughout the entirety of Galaxy Man's level, but I don't think that any other boss is even considerable for the easiest fight. Mega Man 10 is an extremely fun game that has bosses appearing to be from fan games at first glance. I prefer Mega Man 10 to 9 a little bit, but 10 is also a little bit easier. Sheep Man, the sheep-powered robot master, is a literal joke of a fight, but that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is that Sheep Man isn't even the easiest battle in the game, despite looking specifically engineered to be just that. I think the easiest boss fight for Mega Man 10 is Pump Man, because most of the time he just sits there and lets you kill him. Sure, he does have that shield made of literal bubbles, but since Mega Man is a super fighting robot intricately designed to murder robot masters, there aren't really any real issues there. Mega Man 11 is a game that I honestly still can't believe is really out. Between you and me, I low-key want to make some more YouTube videos specifically centered around Mega Man 11, so if you have any ideas, please let me know either in the comments or on Twitter or Discord or something. Anyway, Blockman was clearly meant to be the first boss in the game you go up against if you give the trailers any credibility, but I think that boss fight is actually kinda hard considering he turns into a giant monster that kills you unless you're a skilled speedrunner. Mega Man 11 is also one of the Mega Man games where a lot of the challenge seems to come more so from the stages than the actual boss fights, but it's still clear these fights are well designed and have a lot of polish. Tundra Man and Blast Man are some of my favorite fights, and I don't think they're particularly difficult, but again, I can't really call them easy without, well, lying. But Bounce Man is probably the only stage and boss fight in Mega Man 11 that I didn't see a single drop of difficulty in. Like, the stage is just a bouncy castle that you get through without any obstacles, really. Sure, there are a few enemies and stuff, but like, just kill them. And the actual boss fight is a piece of cake, especially if you use your gear abilities. Also, I haven't considered this or mentioned this the entire video because it's not that important, but Bounce Man's weapon is also one of the best in the game if you're asking me, which means Bounce Man probably has the best boss fight difficulty to weapon skill ratio in the entire series. Oh wait, I forgot about Metal Man. So those are the easiest Robot Master boss battles from every single Mega Man game, and of course, as you guys should know, I have already done this video for the hardest Robot Master, so you should go check that out if you have not. But if that's not your thing, just comment down below letting me know what other Mega Man videos you would like to see, and I'll get right to it. But oh, don't tell me to do anything Mega Man A related though, because I will not. So don't even start, Buster.